Course 2, Lesson 12, Presentation Skills. Okay, let's review where we are now. You should have the makings of a great presentation which positions your product, service, industry or market, allows you to establish your client's needs, explains the benefits of your product in a tailored way, overcomes objections, and contains or acts as testimonials. That should put you in a great position now to polish a presentation that will close any sale, as long as your presentation skills are up to the job. This is a huge topic in its own right, and we will only be able to scratch the surface here. We will assume you have a basic level of competence. If you don't, there are many experts writing and working on this subject who can help you. But there are a few things we should focus on which could set you apart and help you close the sale, such as how do audiences react to a presentation? How do you make sure they remember the key points? Most presenters instinctively build a case working chronologically and building up to the conclusion they want the audience to note. But audiences are at their most receptive in the first few moments of a presentation. By the time you build your case, they may have lost interest. So open up with your most important point, your conclusion. The key points must be at the top. You can build the case later and repeat the points. People remember in different ways. Some remember the first thing you tell them, some the last, some the most unusual, and some the most repeated items. You don't know who's in the audience or how their brain works, so you need to cover all of those memory types. A combination of the above is good. So list the key points you want to make in the presentation and then take some time to put them in order of priority. Consider critically whether the last couple need to be there at all. Do they add value? Should you remove them? Once you've settled on the list, this should be your first slide, your key slide. You can revisit the points listed later, building the case for each one if you want, but this key points slide should be repeated at the top, middle and bottom of your presentation to ensure audiences receive your message. Another factor to consider is the work of Professor Albert Mehrabian, who has pioneered the understanding of communications since the 1960s. Aside from his various other works, Mehrabian's research provided the basis for the widely quoted and often much oversimplified statistic for the effectiveness of spoken communications. His research shows that 7% of message pertaining to feelings and attitude is in the words that are spoken. 38% of message pertaining to feelings and attitudes is paralinguistic, the way that the words are said. And 55% of messages pertaining to feelings and attitudes is in facial expression. This is often taken to mean that audience perception is based as follows: what you say 7%, tone of voice and the way you say it 38%, facial expression and body language 55%. Either way, it's clear that it is not only what you say, but equally important is your delivery, body language and voice. Present with certainty and energy. You need to give some credence to this research in the finalizing of your presentation and your practice of it. If you are working business to client and will have one opportunity to meet with the client, then your best bet is to have a loosely scripted presentation which allows for interaction with the client at the beginning and can then be adapted as the meeting goes on to allow you to show them their achieved benefits. You will have to think on your feet and may find the written fact sheet we devised at the end of Lesson 7 to be useful. This allows you to ascertain the client's key objectives and refer to the sheet throughout the presentation to tick off the points you need to make. If you are working business to business, then you may very well have a number of meetings with the client, which will allow you to develop and tailor an individual presentation based on your generic one. For example, if you're a national account manager, you may ask the buyer at your first seasonal meeting what their objectives are for the coming season. They may say reduce range stocking units, increase turnover, increase margin, and reduce end-of-season stock holding. This is perfect. You probably didn't realise some of them were targets. Now you can go away and come up with a plan that will deliver them all in some format. Maybe your proposal includes reduce range stocking units by offering some proven high sellers, increase turnover by offering some proven high sellers as exclusives, increase margin, offer discount for volume, maybe retrospective, make a margin contribution for selling space, reduce end of season stock holding by offering sale or return, or just-in-time delivery. You need to consider a number of factors when preparing your presentation. The usual housekeeping stuff. Do you have the correct equipment, power source, correct sized room, comfortable temperature, refreshments available? Your position in the room. Does the equipment work correctly? Can everyone see and hear you? It pays to invest time in all these details so that you can concentrate on your presentation without being distracted by these factors. A lot has been written about establishing who you are, etc. Be aware that clients may remember that more than the product if you begin with that. Key points first, remember. A lot has also been written about the danger of developing PowerPoint slides so that the presenter reads them out to the audience. So avoid that and consider whether the logos, dates, headlines and introductions on the slide are adding value or just clogging up the slides. Other factors to consider. People buy from people. Present with energy and certainty. Body language and voice are important, as we discussed earlier. Instill certainty that you can deliver the benefits the client has asked for. We can definitely help you with that, is a useful phrase. Try to use success stories. People love them. Ask for the business. Very important. Practice. Remember the old story of the man carrying a violin walking through the streets of New York. A young boy stopped him and asked him how to get to Carnegie Hall. Practice and practice, he replied. Exercise. Revisit your presentation. Weave together all the parts we've discussed to develop a generic presentation. Practice and practice. Good luck.